We're gonna be able to bring all those elements together to make a really beautifully hued? I was trying to say hue. A beautifully hued soup. I don't know. Sounds a little too bougie.
Hi, I'm Callie, a professional food stylist, and this is the show where I teach you how to style food to look amazing for social media. It's time to plate it perfect.
I'm going to be styling a coconut Thai curry butternut squash soup. I'm going to add some amazing contrast with the surface and our accoutrement that we're going to put on top of it, and I'm going to create a beautiful food photo. All right, I'm going to cut into this butternut squash. Couple things. I'm going to start my knife out in the center of the squash, and then we're going to go down, and then we're going to cut behind this happy little root end so it's easier to cut all the way down. Bam! Squash. And now I'm gonna scoop out the seeds, cover it in a bunch of oil, and then pop it right into the oven to bake for 40 minutes. While our beautiful butternut squash is roasting, I'm going to make the base of the soup. I'm gonna start off with coconut oil, onion for flavor, and it's gonna bulk up our soup a little bit when we end up blending it. We're gonna start to saute this for a hot, probably 5 or 6 minutes, really until it starts to soften. So when I'm styling the soup, I'm keeping color in mind from the beginning. The reason why I'm using white onion here and why I'm just softening it and not turning it golden is so that we can keep with that same color idea. So this basically, the onion is just gonna add flavor and it's gonna add bulk to like our overall mixture for the soup. So saute, soften about the same. We just don't want it to start to caramelize and turn brown. I chose coconut oil in this recipe because it gives it a great Thai, that coconut flavor, because we're gonna add coconut milk later, but also the color, it's clear. It's gonna keep our onions from getting too dark too quickly, and it allows them just to kind of become translucent. Okay, so these are looking nice and softened up. They're starting to get a little clear on us, which is perfect. And so I'm gonna add in our color boosting elements, our dried turmeric, our dried ginger, our garlic for some extra flavor. You're gonna immediately see how this is punching up the color already for the soup. Now I'm going to add in the vegetable broth. And for our color purposes, I'm going to soften this up a little bit with some coconut milk. And coconut milk is perfect for soup, especially when I'm wanting to create a really thick soup that's gonna be able to hold up to all the toppings and all the fun cilantro and things I'm gonna put on later to build color. And this just is gonna come to a boil and then bring back down to a simmer till it gets cooked through. All right, I have my squash that I have taken out of the oven. It looks nice and golden and beautiful. And the first step is I wanna puree the squash first so we can look at the color and the thickness and see how much of our liquid base that we cooked earlier that I wanna add. I'm gonna scoop this beautiful golden / orange flesh from the butternut squash that we roasted into the blender. And I'm gonna add a little bit of the liquid from the soup base to get it all nice and blended up. And I'm gonna add the liquid a little bit at a time to get the texture where I want it. We gotta add some more liquid to this. And that's gonna create that texture that'll allow a kind of more smooth surface so that when I go to put on the cilantro and the different things we're gonna bring to add color to it, it's gonna hold up nicely. This texture looks perfect. It's gonna hold up beautifully to our toppings we have planned, and I'm gonna go style this up. So this is the point where I get to really bring in that color that I talked about earlier. And this color is coming in several spots. One is, I really wanna talk about why am I by this ginormous window? Because when you're shooting food, you wanna put yourself near a source of natural light. Natural light makes it so much easier to get great color, to get great texture on your food, and you kind of can stay away from a lot of shadows. When I set this scene up, we also are looking at this green table. I love the texture. It's kind of rustic. It kind of makes you feel like it's a little bit more exotic. And the color of the green looks phenomenal next to the orange color that we created over there in the blender with our butternut squash soup. Now that we have the texture nice and perfect, all blended up with our soup, we're gonna build our color, our elements, our beautiful toppings onto here to create a dynamite, really interesting bowl of soup. And have it right here next to you. Don't try and pour it in a big old pot. You really want to have it in a vessel so that you can easily pour it out from here. And I want y'all to notice how thick this is. The reason why I want it this thick is because it's gonna hold up to the toppings and the sesame seed and the swirl of the coconut milk that we're gonna do on top of the soup. So I'm gonna smooth out the top of the soup. And I like to always be mindful of creating interesting little swoops and swirls and drizzles. Okay, so the next thing I wanna think about is a pop of green, because we have this really pretty green surface, adding in a green leaf. And with this soup, cilantro is perfect. So see how some of these, they got sad, they got brown, and they died. We don't want those. We're gonna pick out the pretty perky bits in here. And you don't wanna over cilantro, just pick a few little sprigs that'll kind of hint to the fact that it's a good pairing. And you kind of wanna look for too, like pretty kind of, you can see through the leaves, and not a leaf that is this huge, but really a smaller, more delicate leaf works really well. So I'm gonna start this out at the top of the soup. We have a little pop of green in the corner. The next element I wanna add in is a swirl. Now, I love a good coconut swirl. And right here, we have some full fat coconut milk. I chose the full fat so it gets a really pretty thick swirl on the top. If you use the light coconut milk, it's just gonna sink right down into your soup and it's not gonna look good. So go full fat on this. And then I'm gonna just create some swoopy shapes. Just gonna make a little kind of swoopy. I might kind of wanna connect that a little bit. And I have these thin wooden toothpicks and we're just gonna fan it out like this. Do you see that? How beautiful that is? And kind of connect them and sweep them together. So it creates these little swirls in the pattern. I love sriracha. Here's a tip, put it in the fridge. When you put your hot sauces in the fridge, they get thicker, which you want, especially when you're styling soup and you're looking to create some thick drizzles, put it in the fridge. So just kind of freehand gorge, kind of like some of those guys. And if you see some opportunities and you want to kind of just do kind of similar to what you did, kind of mess it up maybe a little bit, swirl some around, create some extra shapes. One more thing, radishes. I love the magenta hue of the skin of a radish. It looks dynamite with the orange in the soup and then also coincides with the white of the coconut milk. So I just tuck these in right next to each other. Look how pretty and dainty that is. Such a nice contrast with the thick cilantro, the thick soup, a little dainty touch. And if you want to, you can even add one more kind of beside. I like to kind of stack. That looks good. So other people might use salt, pepper. I'm gonna do you one better. We're gonna use black sesame seeds, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because they have a beautiful round shape, they're thicker, they lie so beautifully flat on the soup that it creates a dynamic contrast for camera. So just gently sprinkle these. I kind of went in another circular shape, kind of echo that movement we've already created on top. And there you are. I also want to show you that our bread back here was looking a little like kind of flat to me. So whenever that looks like to you on camera, just add a little bit of flaky salt, add some more butter, add some pepper, whatever speaks to you. So I'm gonna add some flaky salt just to add a little extra texture and see how much better that looks. Just looks more interesting. I'm really excited that I took a basic butternut squash soup and now it's become this beautiful work of art. It's bright, it's punchy, it has texture. I'm really excited to showcase all of the elements that we built to create this whole beautiful bowl of soup. And I think you can shoot it from many different angles. You could punch in really tight and focus on all the details that you can build on the soup with the hot sauce, with the swirls of the coconut milk. Or you could back up, do an overhead, set the whole scene so that I could show you the crunchy salt on the toast and all of the elements that come together to create this lovely photo. It's really up to you, but I'm really excited to dive into this and create some really beautiful food photos of the soup.